Miss USA, for instance, is owned by Donald Trump, a clown made of mummified foreskin and cotton candy. But...
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that part.
What is wrong with you, you colossal creep? You found the only possible wrong answer to that question. What's your favourite colour? Hitler. But...
No politician in history, and I say this with great surety, has been treated worse or more unfairly.
Wait, no politician has been treated worse. Abraham Lincoln was shot by an actor. William McKinley was shot by an anarchist. JFK was, of course, murdered by Ted Cruz's father. And James Garfield was shot, then to find the bullet, and this is true, Alexander Graham Bell devised a kind of metal detector which didn't work, so doctors tried to fish around in his guts for the bullet with unwashed fingers, which just made his infection worse, so he died in horrible pain. But yeah, Alec Baldwin sometimes does a mean impression of you on TV. So, yeah, it's basically the same, isn't it? Because when you strip away his blindly confident, entertaining delivery and just read his words, it is staggering how incoherent he is. Here is a word-for-word reading of a speech where he talked about the Iran nuclear deal.
You look at the nuclear deal, the thing that really bothers me. It would have been so easy, and it's not as important as these lives are. Nuclear is so powerful. My uncle explained that to me many, many years ago, the power, and that was 35 years ago. He would explain the power of what's going to happen, and he was right. Who would have thought? But when you look at what's going on with the 4 prisoners, now it used to be 3, now it's 4, but when it was 3, and even now, I would have said, it's all in the messenger. Fellas, and it is fellas, because, you know, they haven't figured that the women are smarter right now than the men, so you know, it's going to take them about another 150 years, but the Persians are great negotiators, the Iranians are great negotiators, so, and they just killed us.
Holy shit! That is not a functional use of language. That is a drunk driver crashing a pickup truck full of alphabet soup. Trump's actual speech patterns sound like when you write a long text by choosing only the predictive text your iPhone suggests for you. Seriously, we wrote a message like that, starting with the words, the nuclear, and here is what we got.
The nuclear test program was not opposed by the other person who knows what they want, and then the delay is not being done by any other country, and that is not the only way to make sure the world can do more things and things like that, and gentlemen, and then the other people who have been told to leave them alone with their children who are also very sad.
That makes exactly as much and potentially more sense than Trump's speech about the Iran nuclear deal, meaning an iPhone would be a more coherent president of the United States.
You're invoking his race when talking about whether or not he can do his job.
Jake, I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall. I'm trying to keep business out of Mexico. Mexico's fine. There's nothing...
But he's American. He's an American.
He's of Mexican heritage, and he's very proud of it, as I am where I come from.
Wait, where exactly are you from? Because you look like you came out of a clogged drain at the Wonka factory, and you know what? That's great. I think that's fine.
You tweeted out that whites killed by blacks, these were statistics you picked up from somewhere, at a rate of 81%. And that's totally wrong. Whites killed by blacks is 15%.
Hey, Bill, am I going to check every statistic? I get millions and millions of people.
You got it. You're a presidential contender. You got to check it.
I have millions of people. You know what? Fine. But this came out of radio shows and everything else.
Okay. I got it from radio is maybe the weirdest nonsense explanation I've ever heard. It's like if someone said, this sandwich tastes weird, and you said, but I found it in a hole. If there's something wrong with it, then what was it doing sitting in a hole? Just let his own daughter describe the state of his finances at one point in his life.
I remember once my father and I were walking down Fifth Avenue, and there was a homeless person sitting right outside of Trump Tower. And I remember my father pointing to him and saying, you know, that guy has $8 billion more than me, because he was in such extreme debt at that point, you know?
And that really shows you the indomitable spirit of Donald Trump, to fall to his lowest point, and in that very moment still find a way to be kind of a dick to a homeless guy. Trump has actually tried to spin the carnage as evidence of his tactical genius.
It was unconventional what I did. I said, they're going to have to fight a little while. Sometimes you have to let them fight a little while. Then people find out how tough the fighting is. Sometimes you have to let them fight. It's like two kids in a lot. You got to let them fight, and then you pull them apart.
The f*** are you talking about? That is not true for Syria, and it's also not true for kids, you weird monster. Trump just revealed what we've essentially always known. He's not just a shitty president and a shitty person. He's a shitty dad. Thank God he never had to raise any children. Now,
very torn. There was a lot of dissension, a lot of fighting, and he brought it all together. Like a father would bring it together. Maybe he's the father of India. We'll call him the father of India. I think that's not so bad.
Yeah, that's not so bad, is it? You know what a father is, right? It's a guy who brings the family together by giving them lots of money, but never emotional validation. And sure, that means the remainder of your life is spent in a series of grasping quests for recognition and unconditional love from everyone around you. And if anyone doesn't love you enough, you hate them and want them to die in prison, because living this kind of life is like being in a very nice boat made of friends who think you're the best, and anyone who doesn't think that is a small hole in your boat, and it lets the water in, and eventually you sink below the waves, and there's nothing left but you drowning in the silent screaming abyss that your father bestowed to you as your gruesome birthright. Well, Modi is like that for India. You know, a father, a daddy,